Technique 1. The mirror. The most persuasive thing you can do in any conversation has nothing to do with what you say. It's what you repeat back. When someone tells you their problem, you don't solve it immediately. You mirror it. You say, "So what you're telling me is," and then you repeat their exact words back to them. And something strange happens. They feel understood. The psychological mechanism is simple. People don't buy from people they like. They buy from people who make them feel like they're understood. The mirror creates that feeling in under 30 seconds. FBI negotiators use this to talk people out of hostage situations. You can use it to close your next deal. Technique 2. Scarcity. Your brain is wired to want what it might lose, not what it could gain. Loss aversion is one of the most documented phenomena in all of behavioral economics. People are twice as motivated by the fear of losing something as they are by the possibility of gaining the same thing, which means the way most people sell is completely backwards. They say, "Think about everything you could have." They should be saying, "Think about everything you're about to miss." The difference in conversion rate between those two framings is not small. In some studies, it doubles. Scarcity works because it activates a different part of your brain entirely, the survival mechanism. Not logic, not desire, pure instinct. Use it honestly, but use it. Technique 3, the takeaway. Someone is hesitating. They like what you're offering, but they're not committing. They keep saying, "I need to think about it," or "maybe later." Most salespeople push harder at this point. They beg without knowing they're begging. The takeaway does the opposite. You pull back entirely. You say, "Honestly, I'm not sure this is the right fit for you right now." And you mean it. You're not bluffing. You're genuinely qualifying whether this person is ready. And something shifts immediately. The moment someone senses that the option might disappear, the hesitation vanishes. The brain interprets your willingness to walk away as evidence that you don't need them, which means the thing you're offering must have real value elsewhere. The takeaway works specifically on the fence sitters, the people who want it but won't admit it yet. It doesn't close a sale that was already closed. It rescues a sale that was quietly dying. Technique 4. Social proof. One side of the street has an empty restaurant, with a host standing outside, waving you in. The other side has a line out the door. You don't know the food at either place. Where do you go? You already know the answer. And so does every person you're selling to. Social proof is not a trick. It's a biological shortcut. When people are uncertain, they look at what other people are doing and assume it's correct. Which means your job is never to convince someone alone. Your job is to show them that other people already made this decision. Case studies, numbers, names. The moment someone sees that 10 people just like them already said yes, the resistance drops. Not because you convinced them, because the crowd did. Technique 5. The anchor. The first number in any negotiation is the most important number. Not because it's the final number, because it sets the gravitational center around which every subsequent number orbits. This is called anchoring, and it's so powerful that in one study, judges handed out longer sentences when a randomly high number had been mentioned moments before the verdict. Not relevant to the case, just a number in the air. Your brain can't help it, which means in any sale, you want to set the anchor. You go high, deliberately, and confidently, before they can go anywhere. And then every concession you make feels like a gift. Every lower number feels like a win. You're not negotiating from their frame. You're negotiating from yours. The person who sets the anchor controls the conversation. Technique 6. Storytelling. Facts are forgotten, stories are not. This is not a metaphor, it is neuroscience. When the brain receives a data point, it processes it in two regions, Broca's area and Wernicke's area. When it receives a story, it lights up in 7 regions simultaneously. Motor cortex, sensory cortex, the areas that process smell and sound and movement. The brain doesn't know the difference between a story happening to you and a story happening to someone else. Which means when you tell someone a story about a customer who had the exact same problem they have right now and found the exact solution you're offering, their brain runs that story as if it is their own experience. They feel the problem. They feel the relief. They feel the outcome before they've bought anything. That's not selling. That's letting them experience the future in advance. Technique 7. Reciprocity. In 1974, a sociologist named Philip Kuntz sent Christmas cards to complete strangers, hundreds of them. People he had never met. He received over 200 cards back. These people didn't know him. They had never spoken. But he gave first. And the human brain has an almost uncontrollable compulsion to return what it receives. This is not politeness. It is biology. It exists in every human culture ever studied. Which means if you want someone to give you something, attention, time, money, a yes, you give them something first. Real value. Real information, real help. Not as a tactic, but as a genuine act. And the reciprocity follows naturally. The most successful salespeople are not the ones who take the most. They're the ones who give the most before they ever ask. Technique 8. The objection flip. Most salespeople are terrified of objections. They hear it's too expensive and they panic. They discount. They apologize. They negotiate against themselves. The best salespeople in the world hear an objection and they feel relief, because an objection is not a no. An objection is a question wearing a disguise. It's too expensive means I don't yet see why it's worth it. I need to think about it means I'm not confident enough yet. I'll talk to my partner means I need someone else to give me permission. The objection flip is simple. You don't answer the surface. You answer the real question underneath. You say, I understand completely. Most people feel that way before they see exactly how this works. Let me show you something. And then you give them the missing information. Not defensiveness, clarity. Technique 9. Commitment and consistency. In 1966, two psychologists knocked on doors in a quiet California neighborhood and asked homeowners if they'd put a small sign in their window supporting safe driving. Most said yes, it was a small thing. 2 weeks later, they returned and asked if they'd put a large ugly billboard in their front yard. The same message, across a different group of homeowners who hadn't been asked the first question. Only 17% agreed. Among the group who had said yes to the small sign, 76% agreed to the billboard, because they had already decided who they were. Once a person makes a small commitment, they will do almost anything to stay consistent with that identity, which means your job is never to ask for the big yes first. You ask for the small yes, and then another. Each yes makes the next yes more likely, not because you manipulated them, because they are now someone who says yes to you. Technique 10. The silence. This is the most underused technique in the history of selling. After you make your offer, after you give your price, you stop talking. Completely, not for a second. For as long as it takes. Most people are so uncomfortable with silence that they fill it. They discount before being asked. They add features that weren't requested. They talk themselves out of sales that were already closed. The silence does something that no words can do. It transfers the pressure. While you're talking, the pressure is on you. The moment you stop, it moves entirely to them. And in that silence, something real happens. They make a decision. Not the decision you pressured them into. Their own decision. The silence respects them enough to let them choose. And that respect is paradoxically the most persuasive thing you can offer. This is what you need to understand. Selling is not about convincing people of things they don't want. The greatest salespeople in history were not the loudest or the most aggressive or the most charming. They were the most observant. They understood something simple and devastating. People already want things. They already have problems that need solving. They already have gaps between where they are and where they want to be. Your job is not to create desire. Your job is to find where desire already lives and show someone the bridge. Every technique in this video is just a different way of building that bridge. The mirror shows them you understand the gap. Scarcity shows them the gap is closing. The story lets them feel the other side. The silence gives them space to cross. You don't sell to people, you sell with them. And the day you understand that difference is the day everything changes.